Fred Richani, TSC. In this interview, we chat with director Casper Kelly, the man behind the first live-action Adult Swim horror film, Adult Swim Yule Log, streaming now on HBO Max. Mr. Casper Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. We just checked out some clips from Adult Swim's Yule Log. This is a wild and crazy film, my friend. Adult Swim's first ever live-action horror film. You had the responsibility of directing this whole ordeal. How did you guys come up with the concept? How did you get linked with it? And when did you realize that this is so crazy it might just work?
Oh, man. Well, the idea, thank you, first of all, and pleasure to be here. The idea came last Christmas watching a Yule log, and I just had an image of looking at the Yule log and imagining blurry legs walking in front and some dialogue. And I thought, that's interesting. You could have a Yule log and then suddenly it becomes a story. And then I pitched it as an Adult Swim idea, as a 4 a.m. idea, 11 minutes. But then I've always wanted to make a movie. So I thought, hey, would you guys be okay if I made it as a movie? And they were like, yeah, if you can do it for about the same amount of money, sure. So, and they wanted to air it this year. So we had a very compressed schedule of 6 or 7 months, but that just added to the adrenaline. And then as far as how did I know this just might work? I didn't. And just now, you telling me it's working, it makes me very happy because I don't know. So I'm very insecure. Hopefully it's working. So I'm very glad you liked it.
Really enjoyed it. Of course, it aired after the Rick and Morty season finale, and the uncensored version at the time we're doing this interview as it's airing will be available on HBO Max, which is great for people to check out. I'm just wondering, without giving too much away, what else is in the uncensored version? I mean, we had bashed skulls, all kinds of blood, bikinis. I mean, what could possibly be in this uncensored version that you're allowed to tell us about?
Oh, it's not. There are no scenes missing. It's purely some F-bombs are you can hear them, and maybe a little extra here and there, but that's the bulk of it.
Gotcha. So this is interesting. So start out as kind of like a relatively short concept. Then you ask them if you can make it into a film. They said sure, but for the same amount of money. So I'd imagine that presented some challenges already on top of the existing challenges you had to kind of create such a unique film. So what were some of the challenges that you faced and how'd you kind of overcome them? I noticed too, like in the beginning of the film, a lot of it was single camera, and then afterwards it kind of expanded. So how did that production evolve over time?
Yeah, I think it's a credit to everyone I worked with that I never really had to remove anything or pull hardly. I pretty much got to do everything on a very compressed time schedule. I think it's partly a function of that a really great team in Adult Swim, and then Georgia has a great film crew because we shoot a lot of movies here, obviously, and just wonderful people that have passion and sort of an indie movie spirit and vibe, and we're just ready to go for it in a very compressed time schedule without enough pre-production.
So do you hope that this film eventually kind of becomes kind of part of the lore of Adult Swim holiday time, that it's one of those like films that people just pop in and watch every holiday season?
I would love that. That would be a dream for me. Knock on wood.
And from what I understand too, this was filmed in Atlanta. This is using Atlanta-based talent. Were there any challenges in terms of the casting process at all?
Yes, a little bit, because it was in COVID, and we had a few actors that had to drop out because when they came to do the COVID test, they had COVID. But other than that, it went great, and I've always loved the talent pool of actors here in Atlanta. I think another challenge was there are long sections that are one shot. So it fell on the actors to learn a lot of dialogue. And a lot of them were cast like 2 days before shooting. So it's a miracle and a testament to their dedication that they were able to do that.
How were the effects made with the whole Yule log? That was kind of funny with the flying and everything. Was that all kind of done in post? Did you have like a magic string? Like how did you film some of those scenes?
It was a mixture of practical, but a lot of digital. I got to give credit to Derek King and Ben Martin, who like on this budget, we didn't hire a graphics company. We just hired some people, and it was a lot for them to do in a short amount of time. And they ended up hiring another company in Brazil that specializes in fire for like big Marvel movies, and they helped us too. I can't remember their name, but yeah, they were great too.
Yeah, they did an awesome job. Just again, want to remind people they could check out Adult Swim Yule Log December 12th and moving forward on HBO Max, the uncensored version. This is definitely a spectacle for sure, especially during the holiday season. Casper, you've been really gracious with your time. We appreciate it. Before we let you go, in a few lines or less, why should people watch Yule Log?
They should watch Yule Log to get into the holiday spirit, and also to possibly be shocked and surprised and expect the unexpected.
And before we get you out of here, where can we find you online, and where can we find you next? Anything else upcoming you're allowed to talk about?
I think all the stuff I'm working on is pretty far out, but I am still on Twitter, which I made for who knows how long, at Hey Casper Kelly. And I also have a website, casperkelly.com, that has my email if you want to email me.